Well, hey, Gundam fans, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. For this episode, we're actually continuing our look at 08th MS Team. We're actually at the 11th episode, which is a part 2, the Shuddering Mountain Part 2 to be exact. Where we left off, it started getting heated between Ginias' Zeon forces and the 8th MS Team. Also between Shiro and Aina, since they were lovers, they were brought back together, pulled apart, and now having to fight. So very interesting to see what's going to be going on here. Hey, but before we get started, if you haven't, please like and subscribe. And be sure to check the links in the description below for the Discord channel. It's real fun to hang out in there. So, yeah, let's get started. So we start with Ginias looking at the Apsalus. In fact, what we're going to be seeing here at the beginning is kind of a recreation of how the last episode ended, because this is where Aina is actually getting into the Apsalus to take off. She's kind of listening to her brother after seeing the horrors of war and what's going on. Essentially, people that she loves are being hurt. And so I guess that with her brother being there, it kind of brainwashed her to get back into the battle. And just for some background information here, so again, we're on the Apsalus III. We'll see in the Gundam it's Apsalus. That could have to do with the translation from the Japanese to the English. But you know, it's very cool to get a look at this compared to the Apsalus 1 and 2. It was more of a circular orb-like thing, like a giant evil Haro, which is a great idea, by the way. But then by the third iteration of the Apsalus, it now has legs, and it's a little wider, and it still has that cannon spot right in the middle. Now, something that this reminded me of, and I thought it was a cool callback, is the Big Zam. So it could have been, while the Apsalus is Ginias's project, he could have took inspiration or maybe some shared engineering documents from Zeon of the Big Zam, because they're very similar. Now, the Big Zam, yes, only has 2 legs instead of the 3, but also I noticed like it looks like it has a giant curved and spiky shoulder pads. It also has the same head, kind of, even though different sizes. For the Big Zam, it looks like a Zeon head if you look closely. It has that snout exhaust and the way that the visor is divided for the mono eye. And then it has that beam cannon slot right below that. Now, if we look at the Apsalus, it's pretty much the same thing, just proportioned different and modernized. It's got the 3 legs instead of the 2. I think that third leg really sells the idea of this being something creepy and fantastical, but having that sci-fi to it. Now it's hard to see. We'll see back on the other screen, but there is a little, Zaku head that we've seen before with the Apsalus, and there's one on here too. So it has those features: the snout, the visor look, and then the shoulder pad style things with the spikes on there. And then here we have it. So we got a close-up view of Ginias standing in front of the Zaku head on the Apsalus, so you can get an idea. So what are your thoughts? Do you think the Apsalus took inspiration from the Big Zam being part mobile armor, but having those legs? Yeah, I find that very interesting. So Aina finds her brother Ginias. He's gone all mad, and she asks what happened to all the other scientists, and he's saying they got all drunk. If you remember from the previous episode, he kind of did sort of a party for launching this Apsalus, for it being complete, and he had them all drink champagne, potentially, that was poisoned, and they all died. So she hasn't picked up on that yet. And in Zeon fashion, it launches from underwater. That seems to be a consistent theme with Zeon stuff. It seems to be they're really efficient with water-based things, and a lot of times they keep their stuff underwater. Firing its laser, the Apsalus III, we get a look at some cool ground GMs. Sick shot here, because the goof flight type is already awesome, but the design of this Apsalus III it's just really cool. It's just really cool. And so another part from the last episode was him saying he's leaving the service. And so now they're all freaking out. They can't desert. Karen, along with Sanders, was asked by higher ups to keep an eye on Shiro, and for Karen specifically, if Shiro was to desert, to kill him. Yeah, and while we're getting a cool shot of the ground Gundam, another ground Gundam with the GM head, Karen is shooting at Shiro. And so, it's kind of interesting what's going on, because Shiro is saying he's leaving the service, but really he's going off to do the right thing, and Karen just doesn't understand that. They're really thinking he's deserting. Just kind of a interesting storytelling method that really just ups the drama without really making sense, as you would assume characters would be interacting or communicating a little more. And just to call out, even though it seems like Ina's all bloodthirsty, she did strategize in a way to where what they're trying to carry out will stop the Kurgan, which is their uh, cargo ship with all their the people from the underground base. She wants to make sure it gets away unharmed from the Federation. Oh man, look at this shot! I love where that attack, how it the Minovsky cannon just kind of like or mega particle cannon, powered by the Minovsky engine, just caused the ground to just he turned into to lava essentially, and just I love the look of these ground GMs, the reflection in the visor, and we kind of see how the lighting is really showcasing the light from the heat of that weapon on them. Just this is just a cool shot to have as like a wallpaper or something. And I guess that shot was supposed to be like a warning, and she's saying, "Do not cross this line, and we won't engage." Because really, with the Apsalus, it could just tear things up if it really wanted to. So, luckily for most involved, Aina still has that sense of humanity in her, even though she's on a bloodthirsty rampage. And so, Shiro then, hears this, and he's all like, "Yeah, I knew that was Aina." So, yeah, he's going after her, but no, the Federation officials don't want to go with her plan of, hey, ceasefire. Let's, draw this line with a plasma weapon and no attacking. Uh, but yeah, the top ranking Federation officials are like, nah, we got this. And she actually gets out of the cockpit, exposing herself to the Federation to, I guess, prove her point, to kind of plea for what she wants to do. And Ina actually, stands out there to plea that, and that gives time, for the Kurgan to take off. Even the goof flight types, like, we're going to go meet at the rendezvous point, and the Federation is considering. Then all of a sudden, while Ina's standing out on the cockpit, these mirrors open up where that particle beam cannon would be. Here's a cool shot, kind of seeing where I guess the beam would fire from the center. We have the mirrors that are around the cannon area that I guess are supposed to maybe reflect or kind of increase the strength of the laser, but just also kind of cool seeing the like unnecessary spikes on the shoulders, but also that Zaku head there. It just seems goofy, but really it's not. It's awesome. And it's crazy because Ginias, her brother, was willing to do this while she was standing there. Now, this isn't the first time that he's been willing to put her life in danger, but I guess at the moment, the reason she's with him in the first place is because he knew he could use her. She was feeling like an aggressor to use the Apsalus and get out, and he, of course, was fine with that. Okay, that was pretty cool to kind of see them start to melt away and then just explode. Dang. That's some crazy Gundam death. And so, because Ginias fired the Apsalus, that really then negated Aina in the truce she was trying to get with the Earth Federation, which they didn't agree, and then they were starting to agree. So, in the end, the Zeons are the bad guys, right? And I kind of like how Kojima's like, we're no better than they are. And he's just seeing on the television screen there, the monitor, Aina in front of the cockpit. He's seeing how horrible this is all turning out. Now, this is cool because we're seeing some GM snipers that are being sent out into battle for a specific task. So I kind of like this way of world building while showing some badass mobile suits. Okay, so really cool. The GM sniper has this sniper rifle that's plugged in somewhere to power it, and you got to understand with the distance between the mobile suit and that shuttle, it's going to need those precise shots, and specifically hitting the engine just to get the thing to explode. It's devastating to see Aina witness that because she was working so hard to try to stop people from getting killed and trying to get those people to safety. So Aina gets pissed, back in the Apsalus, about to fire that mega beam particle cannon at the Earth Federation officials, the base that's in that area where Kojima is. And on the viewfinder, I guess, Aina is noticing Shiro walking up. And so she's obviously that's going to cause a lot of emotions to stir up. And while distracted, the beam cannon still fires off and causes a lot of destruction. Now that's crazy. This is like, you know, that Apsalus obviously has a powerful weapon. And we saw with the simulation a few episodes back how it would take out the Federation base in South America. So just what it's doing here is pretty crazy. I mean, this is a formidable weapon up against um, the Earth Federation. And I wonder if maybe it was successful enough that then they would have to have Amuro intervene and take out the Apsalus. We can kind of see the damage that blast is doing to the mobile suits, how it's completely destroying the outer shield, armor, etc. And Mikkel and Elidor are just inside the hover tank, being protected by Sanders and Karen, but they made a comment about how it's getting hot in there, and, luckily they're able to survive this. Yeah, so look at the damage that blast did. It took the metal coating of those shields and melted them, and the melted liquid portions were then being pushed by the force. Not the Star Wars force, of course, but the blast force. Just really cool looking art here. And we get a moment where Ginias and Aina are actually having a real heart to heart, and they even speak about their family, about their motivations. So at least we get some sort of resolution for that. So it's really worth watching. And it's pretty crazy. Ginias just doesn't agree with anything she is saying. Shoots her in the chest. It's pretty crazy. And luckily, Shiro, the hero, there to save the day. She goes to rescue her, but again, shot in the chest. And then from the back, you can barely make it out. It's kind of camouflaged, right? The GM sniper shooting right at the Apsalus III. Oh, that's pretty cool. It cut through and came out the other side. And so Ginias fired the beam again, but I guess from the distraction of getting shot, it allowed it to kind of move off track, I guess, and not get them directly. But I think the heat would be enough. Oh, yeah, the heat certainly did it. And it's cool. There's these, I don't know what they are, fuel canisters, something to that nature on the legs. Snipers hitting those specifically to cause it to fall. Yeah, it looks like it's a gas that might help with some sort of movement of the legs. Yeah, Kojima's calling out that top-ranking commander or official guy, just by firing on them that I guess essentially he's saying there are rules to war. So I guess it depends on the morals of the individual that's in those positions, what they're willing to do, not do. Some things never get traced back, like Ginias killing the Yuri and his team that were supposed to help get everyone off that base, and instead Ginias stayed behind to finish the Apsalus. Aina wakes up, Shiro and Aina hug. That's a nice bit to kind of get near the end on. It's kind of interesting that Commander Kojima and Mikkel are kind of sharing a scene together, but they're completely different types of characters. And to that point, Kojima's just like, shut up. So kind of a cool setup here. So, Shiro's back in his Easy 8 Gundam, and, his right arm is injured, so he's using his left hand. Aina's using her right hand. They are working together in a Gundam. All right. So Shiro, Aina, and the Easy 8 going after Ginias and the Apsalus, but there's a GM sniper that's been ordered to take out Shiro. So there's kind of like this three-way battle going on. Man, that is just brutal. That GM sniper beam rifle that we saw take out the that shuttle from earlier is now directed at a mobile suit, and it's just melting the thing away. Now, what is he typing? This is insane. Really cool shot here. This is, Ginias has relaunched in the Apsalus. He's looking down at the Easy 8 cockpit open. Aina, Shiro sitting there. Like, now you two. And so while Ginias is about to engage with this full power shot, Shiro and Aina in the Easy 8 just jump into the cannon. The Federation soldiers are evacuate, and he's like, there's no time for that. So he knows it's the end. Yeah, and look at that. I guess the heat blast just decimated it. The Federation base here. I think is it the big tray though? I forget. I need to look that up. But regardless, what's interesting is, and we'll see what happens, the Easy 8 is still in the cannon of the Apsalus. Now we can make out some of the animation here, but it looks like we're only seeing the top half left of the Easy 8. And then the Apsalus, the Easy 8, fell into the top of that mountain, possibly dormant volcano because there's water underneath. That's where the Apsalus had launched from. They fell down there. You see all the waves, then a huge explosion. And then, the 8th MS team, everyone that has sort of fallen in love with Shiro, all running to see if he's okay. And it's cool. We can see in the background, there's a mountain and there's this giant hole in it, which is pretty insane. I would think the top of that would fall, but I guess just for a dramatic effect. All right. And then, after you see everyone kind of running towards where Shiro could be, it says, not long after that, the war ended. Narrated by Shiro himself. That's the end of this two-parter, but we're going to get some more information in the next one. But I thought this was a very cool episode, just kind of showing the three-way struggle that occurs when it's the Zeon versus Federation and then the individual's morals and what they are living for that kind of contradict maybe one side or the other. Also, it's real cool to get some more mobile suit battles, even though it wasn't as much mobile suit on mobile suit. We just see the Apsalus, we see the GM sniper, even the sniper firing at the EZ-8, and just how things were destroyed, seeing beam particle cannons just melt things away, turns things into pieces. It's very cool animation to see in this. So yeah, let me know what you think. Leave a comment below and like this video if you thought it was pretty cool. But anyway, from that, do you agree about the Apsalus Big Zam connection? I would think within Zeon, that's just part of the evolution of any kind of other weaponry design or something like that. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. We'll talk later.